want to begin today our second lecture in the series, and today our topic is going to be on experiences and personal growth. I want to start by doing a reading that kind of fits into today. I picked a reading from March 12th from the Indians Meditation book. The old ones say, learn from your mistakes. So I try to accept everything for what it is and make the best of each situation and try to do it one day at a time. The Creator did not design us to beat ourselves up when we make mistakes. Mistakes are our friends. It is from mistakes that we learn. The more mistakes we learn from, the faster we gain wisdom. The faster we gain wisdom, the more we love. The more we love, the fewer our mistakes. Therefore, mistakes help us to learn to love God, for God is love. Mistakes are sacred and help us learn about God's will for ourselves. Great Spirit, help me today to learn from my mistakes. I really wanted to read that because, besides being one of my favorite readings, because I really believe very deeply, we're going to talk a lot today about life's experiences and gratitude for them. You know, it's amazing when you look at your life, and if you ever get the opportunity, and something I had the great honor of doing, is to go back over and just try to write a little bit about your life journey. You know, where it started, what's connected with it, but above all, to be able to put down the experiences that you go through. We have so many teachable moments, so many things that happen in life, and so many things that we kind of screwed up every once in a while, made mistakes, but we're able, hopefully, to learn from them, to grow from them. So growth actually comes from us being able to face different parts of our journey and being able to have a sense of faith and trust that everything in life will be revealed to us when it's ready to be revealed, not when we decide it should be revealed. It's all part of the process we go through. And I share that because I really believe deeply in this concept of life's experiences. You heard the term, you heard me say it about 4,000 times. Everything's happened for a purpose. Nothing in life just happens by accident. I truly, truly believe that we're on a journey and that things are going to happen on that journey. People will come into our life, people will leave our life. Situations will occur, changes will occur. And none of us could have predicted some of the things we'd be feeling and doing in the course of our journey right now. I never in my wildest dreams thought I'd be in a recovery program for my eating disorder. I never thought I'd be able to be around other recovering people. I never thought, basically, I'd be able to do some of the things I can do today. But how does all this come about? It's almost like being able to somehow go back in inventory and look at different things in life and ask yourself that question. It's a question of wonderment. Why did this happen? Why was I led to this? What did I learn from it? How can I grow from it? You know, we're special creatures, and sometimes we have to really go through a situation, go through the struggles and sometimes even the mistakes, till we're ready to look at everything in life as a teachable moment. Even the things we don't want to look at, they're still teachable moments. And that's why we got to be able to open the door to be able to experience and be able to get in touch with these things to help us to understand the process of life. Let me give you some examples. It's probably the easiest way to bring this out. I look at it today through the eyes of positive thinking. Now, did I look at it at the time? No. Isn't it funny sometimes because we're human? We have to go through something where we literally, fight it, battle it, struggle with it, and then finally come to an acceptance of it. And to me, the most spiritual word on the face of the earth is acceptance. And yet so many of us ask ourselves this question: why did I go through that? Why couldn't I see what I needed to see? Why? And many times because we weren't ready. A good example of this in my own life, it's a very simple example. When I was in the 8th grade, usually in the 8th grade, and especially back then in the Catholic school system, they wanted to know who wants to go in the seminary. Now, my mother had trained me, got me ready, and she also had informed the nuns that she wanted me to go in the seminary. So even though a sister was asking that question, I felt like saying, "Sister, you already know the answer." But I didn't do that. I'd be too scared to do that. But the bottom line was, myself and another gentleman, whose name I choose not to share, took the test. We both volunteered. And by the way, I use the word volunteer in quotation marks. We both volunteered. And here's the crazy part about life. I passed the test, and my friend flunked it. I went into the seminary, and it led me in so many directions I can look back on with gratitude and love. My friend ended up in trouble and ended up eventually serving time in a state prison. Now, circumstances, situations, I often wonder, suppose I had flunked and he had passed. Where would I be today? We can't think that way. We have to look at what happened. And then what do I do with it? Why? Why am I being led in this direction? He's being led in another direction. And we never know where the journey of life will take us. Remember a show a long time ago called Wagon Train? It was on for a long period of time. I guess you got to be from a different generation to remember it. But the Wagon Train a lot of times had a purpose. It's going to go west. It had a trail that we're going to follow. But then certain circumstances, situations occurred that changed their path. It may have been the lack of water. It may have been the weather. It may have been different types of things. So they were always constantly changing and adjusting, changing and adjusting. Now, take that concept, which is so important, and look at the journey of life. We're constantly in process of changing, of learning, of going through experiences. And I truly believe, because we're human, because of our humanness, we have to go through something and sometimes look at it negatively until we can see the other side. And that's hard, because there's a war going on inside of all of us. It's the world of control and the world of wonderment. Many times in my life, I say to myself, suppose this has happened, where would I be today? Suppose that had happened, where would I be today? Suppose I never met my wife, where would I be today? Why do we even ask ourselves these crazy, insane questions? Because the reality is, each one of us is exactly where we're supposed to be on the journey of life. And yes, we meet people, we meet obstacles, they're called experiences. And every one of our experiences, if we have the courage to face them, embrace them, and then basically learn how to adjust to them. See, I don't know about you, but I know about me. And a lot of times in my life, I really wanted things to go in a certain direction. How many times have I organized things and figured it's going to work this way or that way? And it always goes a different way. And at first I got aggravated. And then I realized whatever happened was supposed to happen. How can I learn from it? So the important thing is to face everything in life with an open mind. All of our experiences and everything that happened in the course of our journey happened to help us to come to where we are today. You know, why did I take a leave of absence from the priesthood? Why did I go to Philadelphia? Why did I end up starting Point? Why did I end up where I was? Why? Because I was supposed to. See how simple it is? Now, what do I do with it? Do I beat myself up and say, oh, hell, here I go again? Or do I embrace the experiences I go through? Can I learn from them? Can I try to look at them through positive eyes? Now, I'm saying this in a lecture today, but you know as well as I, this stuff doesn't happen overnight. It's a process. It's an experience. And all of our experiences are good, even the negative ones. I did that reading today because the old ones used to say, mistakes are your gifts. And sometimes we think we made a mistake and then later on we find out it really wasn't a mistake. It just was a growing process in life. For a long period of time, through a lot of therapy, I was angry because I said, if only I had parents that were somewhat normal, my life would have been totally different. And then my therapist used to remind me and say, but Vince, what's wrong with your life the way it is? And I'd have stopped and think and say nothing. But see, we're caught up in this humanness. We think the grass is greener on the other side. And you get to the other side, you find out it's got bare spots too. Everything's got it. Why? So it's a process. Why am I where I'm at today? Why am I in a relationship with the person I'm in a relationship with? Why are my children where they are? What's going on in the course of this journey? And yet it's all beautiful and special, and yet so many times in life we have that wonderment. It's one of the reasons why I have a lot of love for the big book of AA. Because in the big book, everything in the book is suggested. And the biggest thing I've learned from all my experiences, there are no absolutes. Everything's in process. Everything is changing. Everything is moving. And it'll move at the pace it's supposed to move. It'll move to where it's supposed to move. And it'll move in God's time, not in my time. And that's where prayer and trust and life takes us. See, I got to realize something. I have to have this gratitude attitude. I have to be grateful for wherever I'm going to be led today. Now think about that just for a minute. Now, if you're a good codependent, like me, you know, I like to have my days planned, right, Lana? I have to have them planned. Now, everything's organized for tomorrow. You see my book, it's right there. And already today, 2 things for tomorrow have changed. And when I say my prayers in the morning, I say to God, why? I got the thing organized, but it needed to change. Now, do I like the fact that it's changing? At first, no. Here we go again. Now I got to do this. Now I got to do that. And then I sat down, I said some prayers, and I said, wait a minute. Maybe this is a blessing in disguise. I'm able to get some things done tomorrow morning now that I didn't knew I had time. I know when I was going to get them done. And I'm going on retreat this weekend with my EDA group. And I need time to get ready for the retreat. And so for some reason, God changed my schedule tomorrow morning so I'd have time to be able to get done what I need to get done. See, again, what happened was very positive, but my codependency wanted to try to make it negative. There's always a good point to everything in life. Why do we meet certain people? Why do they come into our life? Why? Because they're teachers. So every experience you've gone through in the course of your journey is a teachable moment to learn things about yourself. You know, when I went to seminary, I was sent to a place in Connecticut called St. Thomas in Bloomfield, Connecticut. I knew nobody. So it kind of forced me to get started. Then because of some circumstances that occurred, we all got transferred to a place in New Jersey. It's called Mother of the Savior Seminary, which is now Camden County College. And during that time, I got very involved in working in the speech and drama program and the stage program as a stage manager. And I learned a lot of stuff when I went there. Now, why did God transfer me from this seminary I had up here to this new place? I have no idea why they transferred us, but they transferred us. And the bottom line was, I was sent there for a purpose. And the purpose was to help me get over my stage fright of talking in front of people. I went into the speech and drama program. I learned a lot. I was involved in plays. I was involved in doing stage work. I was involved in being around people. I went into the public spectrum. During that time also, just by coincidence, by the way, there are no coincidences, you know, they had set up this youth program at the seminary for young kids so they'd be able to have a sports experience. And so they set up this nice basketball league, but they had a problem. They had no referees. So for some crazy reason, I volunteered. And I began to referee these games. I didn't know squats about refereeing. But for some reason, I learned. Now, I never expected that to happen, but that experience of working with those kids, that experience of the refereeing, led me later on to get a license and to start to referee high school basketball and do high school sports. Now again, never expected that to happen. Think about this in your own lives. So many things have brought us to where we are today. You know, my eating disorder brought me into recovery. Do I like my eating disorder? Not really. But I see it as a gift today. It brought me into recovery. It helped me to bond with a certain group of people. And over the course of time, I went to another eating disorder program, which I bonded even more to others. I look back on my life and I realize, look at all these people I've been connected to over the journey. It's so beautiful and so special. Now, part of the reality, and you have to face it, as life changes, things change. So we have new experiences, new concepts. You know, there's a lot of things I can't do today I used to be able to do. Today I have physical restrictions on my body. Not supposed to happen. I wanted to be, I guess, 30 years old till till I was 130. But I'm not going to be that. I'm going to have aches and pains. I got a visit from a very good friend of mine, who's now a friend, but wasn't a friend in the beginning. His name was Arthur. Some of you may be familiar with Arthur, or Mr. Arthritis. He always comes to visit, doesn't he? And I don't think too many people get away from him. And yet after a while, what do? You have to come to an acceptance of it. Here's that damn word again. I have to come to an acceptance of it. Then I have to adjust my life accordingly. A friend of mine I had lunch with on Monday said to me, you ought to get into the Senior Citizen Olympics. So he showed me a video of 75 to 80-year-olds running wind sprints, doing all this stuff. And I looked at him and I said, ain't gonna happen. So I said, we have a 5K coming up. Oh, you're gonna run in it? No. You're gonna walk in it? No. But I am gonna sponsor in it, and I am gonna be part of it, because my restrictions, I can't do the walking, but my wife is gonna walk for me. So I can get people to work for me, so I can connect more sponsors. So there's different ways of doing things. So I'm learning the other secret word that goes along with life's experience. You're always adjusting to something new. You're going through an adjustment process all the time. Get into a 12-step program and you want to work it perfectly, right? Then you find out perfect doesn't work. You know why? Because we're human. We make mistakes. We may try to sponsor somebody, and we might say this and say that, and end up later on when the person doesn't care for us anymore. And down the road, then they do care for you. Who knows? We never know. We do our best. That's all we can do. We open up doors, do the best we can do. Then we go to sleep. And always remembering to keep in fact that the higher power has chosen us on this journey. And I have to be able to look at life and keep learning and trying to learn from it. And that is the secret to staying young, is always have that open mind. Learn something new, discover this. Try to stay away from absolutes. And realize the fact that, yes, this is where I am today. It's absolute for this moment. But it will change 15 minutes from now. For this absolute moment, I'm on Zoom talking to you. An hour from now, I won't be on Zoom talking to you. I'll be doing something else. 2 hours from now, the same thing will happen. Change will keep happening. Things will go back and forth. You know, you'll be able to get through, maybe you won't be able to get through. I don't know. I remember one night, I was giving my lecture at 7 o'clock at night, and all of a sudden, the internet crashed. I was talking to people, next thing I know, I had a blank screen. I said, where'd they go? My wife said, probably in the cloud. I said, well, can we go to the cloud and keep talking? And so basically, we had to call the lecture off for the rest of that night. Now, did I want to call it off? Of course not. But God decided that this machine's not going to work for the time being. It needs a break. But why do you always give it a break when I don't need it to have a break? These are the arguments I have with God all the time. Yeah. I was going to say, you wait till 8 o'clock till the lecture was over for this to happen? But God says, remember, I got a sense of humor. I love doing this to you human beings. Because you really think you have it all together, don't you? I can come along to remind you that you don't, to remind you that you have a lot to learn, that you have a lot more to experience, to remind you that you're not supposed to be done. You're still a work in progress. And you'll be that work while you're on this earth. All you can do is the best you can do. So somebody's body can take them this far, other people someplace else. It's just amazing. You look at life. Life can change in an instant. I'll give you a good example of this. Most of you who know me know I've always been in good health. I was involved in everything, doing stuff. And so one day, about 2 years ago, I was doing some work at the food bank. And I decided at the food bank that I was going to help out. So we had to unload a car. And of course, excuse my language, a little stunad up here, a little crazy. I decided to pick up this crate that was in the back of a trunk of a car of something that was being donated. When I picked it up, I noticed that there was this little pop in my back. I didn't know what the crate was, a 50-pound bag, 50-pound crate of frozen chicken. Well, nobody told me that. Now, I had to go to the orthopedic doctor. I had a fracture in my back. From the fracture, I got some arthritis in it. And all of a sudden, I started visiting these people called doctors. And everything changes. And so as a result, the fracture healed, but there's parts of me that I still have to work on because I'll never go back to where I was prior to picking up that crate. Then you hit yourself in the head and you say, why'd you pick up the crate? And I was talking to my orthopedic doctor and he said, listen, show me an x-ray. He said, the crate's got nothing to do with it. Your back was so thin, it was only a matter of time till it cracked. He said, could have been the crate, could have been you walking a certain way, could have been a lot of things. So he said, give the crate, he actually said this, give the crate a break. The crate didn't do it to you. Mother Nature did. He says, you gotta understand something. I didn't care for this doctor too much, by the way. I don't really like him today, but when I first met him, I thought he was very rude. He said, this is what happens as you get older, Vince. You're going to have some creaky points. Some things aren't going to work like they used to work. Things are going to change. Here he is giving me back my own words I tell people about all the time. And he said, you have to accept it. No one to say to him, what 12-step programs you go to? The bottom line was, he's right. Do I want to hear that? Of course not. How many times in your lives have you had to do things you don't want to do? You had to hear things you don't want to hear. You had to learn how to say 2 words which are scary as hell to say. The one word is yes, the other word is no. Now, as I'm getting older, I'm learning it's okay to say no. I can't do the things I used to be able to do. Many years ago, I could run to 5 nights a week all over the countryside, giving lectures, doing programs, selling books out of the back of my trunk in my car, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Today, 7 o'clock at night, 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, guess what I'm ready for? It's called bed. Things change. Life changes. Everything changes. I love this gratitude series because it teaches me this gift of gratitude. Gratitude for wherever you are in the course of your journey today. Do you have aches and pains? Yes. We have to make some decisions in your life. And I've seen some real heroes. I know a lady I was working with, and she knew because of her condition, she wasn't going to last anymore. She was working with hospice. I went in to visit her, spent time with her, and you know what? Maybe I was praying with her, but she was the one that was helping me. Her spirit, the way in which she was able to handle her death, was amazing. And all I could say to prayer was, I hope that someday I'll be able to handle things the way she's handling them. I pray for that. A good friend of mine just died recently, but he died in his sleep. Beautiful guy. Did a lot for us here at Starting Point. Was a known figure in the area. And yet I realize more and more today, you just don't know. And that's why you have to celebrate the moments, celebrate the things that are around you, celebrate your family. I have so much gratitude that God led me to my journey to my wife. I mean, I've been so blessed, and she keeps me straight. Somebody's got to keep me straight. But things change, life changes. We've changed. Our relationship has changed. Hopefully it's grown. Some days it does, and some days, half and half, then there's some more. That's why I love that phrase. Real good, healthy growth takes place. 10 steps forward, 7 backwards. It's called progress, not perfection. That is the key to everything we do in life. As long as we make progress, as long as we're open to learn something new. But we all suffer from that disease called leucopatosa. In Italian, that means brickhead. We all got to do it the hard way first. Then we learn and do it the other way. But we're stubborn. We have a lot of control issues, a lot of fear issues. So 2 prayers I'd like you to look at. I call them some of the greatest prayers. One is a morning prayer, which I say to God every morning. After my meditation in the morning, I say, Dear God, I'm ready for the day. I dedicate the day to you. Now you know I have a schedule for today. So I give that schedule to you. If it's supposed to change, help me to accept the change. But please help me to move on. And the second prayer, which I say all the time, is the prayer of acceptance and adjustment. Once you're able to come to that sense of being open to where you're going to be led, to be able to adjust accordingly. Because life is not going to go just the way you want it. It's not a movie. And even movies don't work. You're going to have detours. Things will happen. Things will change. Life will change. It's all part of it. I remember 2 phrases that come from sports. One comes from baseball. And it says, the best hitter in baseball makes an out 7 out of 10 times. Which means they only get a hit 3 out of 10 times when they bat. And the other one I learned is from basketball. And it's real simple and it's real plain. And I realized the fact that you got to do what you got to do. You make a call, keep the game moving, and stop worrying about whether it's right or wrong. You know, that's the beautiful part about life, the humanness of life. I'll tell you a quick baseball story. I like baseball. There's a book I have at home called The Empire Strikes Back. It was written by a gentleman named Ron Luciano, an Italian umpire. Of course, it had to be an Italian umpire, of course. But anyway, he has a real comical guy. Everybody loved him in baseball. He was umpiring a game at Yankee Stadium between the Kansas City and the Yankees. He was the first base umpire. One of the players from Kansas City, George Brett, hit a ground ball and beat the throw to first. Now he yelled safe, but he gave the out sign. He called George over and said, George, you know you're safe and I know you're safe. But 50,000 people in a national television audience think you're out, so you're out. I got the biggest kick out of that. He said, help me and let's adjust together. I made a mistake. I gave the wrong sign. Don't embarrass me. And George just pat him on the shoulder and walked off the field because they understood each other. He had to make an adjustment. George had to make an adjustment. That's how things are supposed to be in life. We have to be able to adjust accordingly. We could say something and even promise we're going to do this. And then later on find out, oh God, I shouldn't have made that promise. Why did I make that promise? And now I have to adjust. I gotta make phone calls, I gotta change everything. Oh my God, here we go again. This is called the human condition. And so look at all your experiences, no matter what they are, and realize they're all gifts. They're all learning, they're all growth process. And try to be open to them and try to learn from them. And even though sometimes it's difficult. So our prayer today is that we can open our hearts and open our minds and be able to learn and grow from the direction life has taken us. So let us pray. God, we come before you in prayer. We ask the God of our understanding, our divine presence, to be our guide and be our strength. Help us as we walk the journey of life. Teach us to walk it with gratitude, to walk it with love, to walk it with openness. Teach us to realize the real value of life. Teach us to realize that every one of us, no matter who we are, can always learn and grow and discover new things in life. Help us to be open to the journey and realize that you are my guide and you are my strength. We pray and we ask this and we ask it in your name.